Hello once again, Tennessee. This is the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee. They are the co-founders of Allon Planning Partners. I'm your host, Spike Spangle, our program dedicated to all of your retirement planning needs. Jay, Brittany, it is so wonderful to see you once again in the studio. Brittany, how are you today?
Doing great. Thanks, Spike. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried. We're going to be talking about risk and market volatility. Jay, are you ready to kick off that program?
I think we can get there. It's not too scary.
And now I've got to ask, so of course the co-founders of the firm there, do you both agree on risk? Do you both agree on what is the same kind of risk number? And you both ventured off to start your own firm. That's kind of risky in and of itself.
Yeah.
Do you always see eye to eye on risk?
We're both risk takers.
We are. And I think as we have been married longer and longer, we have kind of come to agree more and more and see more eye to eye. But yeah, we are by nature
both risk takers.
Both risk takers. So.
But at the same time, we've understood appropriate amounts of risk that we need to take. And that's the communication, right? She probably pulls me back in a lot more because I'm a pretty risky individual, and not just in investments, I just like living life to the fullest. And so she's helped me a lot with that.
Fantastic.
Well, we've got two kids.
Yeah.
We got two kids. We got
It's the motorcycle rider, right?
Yeah,
it's the motorcycle rider is what I'm speaking about. It's my Harley. And so we've compromised on that over the years.
Right. So on today's program, we're going to be talking about risk. How do we define that together, both as a couple and if you're single? And the market volatility that's going on, we've got to address what's happening. I think we can all agree right now that we are at that end of the 14-year bull run, nearly the longest
certainly looks
gain
that way.
amount. Yeah, certainly looks that way. At the beginning of the year, we've dropped nearly 20%. We've had some return in recent weeks. Do you expect to see the same kind of market volatility throughout the rest of this year, or maybe we finally at the calming point? Where's your crystal ball?
Well, I wish I had a crystal ball.
I
I wish I could have a magic 8-ball at least to tell us, right? We all want that. But I do believe we're going to see more volatility in the days ahead. We have a lot of uncertainty facing us that we haven't had in the past. And so there are some things that I believe we all need to keep on our radar for that. But I believe that's where good planning comes in, right? Good financial planning and knowing the security and the anchor that you have in your financial plan will help you get through some of that volatility. So there's hope there, but I do believe we have more volatility ahead.
Well, so when folks come into your office for the very first time, are they surprised to realize how much risk they're taking? I mean, when was the last time sometimes you have adjusted what you've had in those retirement accounts? You've been working for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Do people know to allocate that differently as they get older?
It's interesting because we'll sit down and we'll begin those are some of the basic questions we'll begin discussing. What's your risk tolerance? What do you feel like if we give you this scale, kind of where do you fall? And then we look at their assets and we're like,
Something don't match up here.
they're not lining up. And again, it's not their fault. They weren't advised when they chose on their 401k selections or whatever the asset we're referring to may be. But
or they chose 30 years ago when they started, right?
Yeah,
and haven't made allocation changes since, or they may have left another job and still have that old 401k sitting out there with them and haven't made any allocations in 20 years on that thing. So we typically find that most folks really don't understand risk tolerance. Many folks don't truly understand where they stand in risk tolerance. They can tell you if they like it or not.
Well, and they also think that we're risk takers, so that means we're going to be risk takers for our whole life. Well, that may be so at the core, but does that play out right when we're talking about a comprehensive financial plan? Because we may be risk takers at core, but when we are at the place of retirement, we have to begin thinking a little bit differently about those investments than we did 30 years ago or 20 years ago or 10 years ago even.
Right, and what I'm really worried about is that I think what's happened over the last 14 years has given a lot of folks a false sense of confidence in their accounts, right? 14 years, 13 and a half or so of the markets going up and up and up, and so we've continued that allocation. And for those who are now starting their retirement, maybe a year or two away from it, they're seeing very large losses
different economy
in their
right
accounts. Now, do they have time to recover this? Is it too late? I mean, 20%. This is not like 2008 where the markets dropped almost 40% in the matter of a few weeks. But What do we do right now? If we took too much risk and we're looking at this 20% loss,
Sure.
is it too late to make a change?
It's not, but risk tolerance is a very broad subject. But if you're boiling it down to positioning, right, how you're positioned with your assets, that's number one. And then time horizon, which you just mentioned. So when do I need to utilize this bucket of money or these funds in this account? Or how does it fit my overarching plan? It's not too late to make those changes. We need to actually look and see, where are you on that scale of time horizon?
Yeah,
How are you
reassess.
positioned? And is there a better way to be positioned? Because I recently, last week, met with a lady who thought she had a very large nest egg. And she's done well accumulating money in this bull market for the last 14 years, as you say. And she's done really well. But the issue was, when I looked at her, she said, I don't want to take any risk, and my portfolio is not taking any risk. I've done well. I've accumulated money, and now I've got it set to where it's going to be taking little risk. Well, come to find out, she had maybe 4 or 5 individual stocks, and that was the basis of her portfolio. And so she didn't understand the concept of risk. She just knew these are the companies that I've always
believe
liked.
in, yeah.
And she didn't understand diversification, really. And so positioning and time horizon are really how we want to view in the lens of risk tolerance.
Let me take the flip side of this right now as well, because there are a lot of folks who are taking a little bit too much risk. What about taking too little risk? We're living longer today than we ever have, and I don't think overcorrecting and going over to cash is a safe play either. But for those who are terrified of all the negative news, how do you talk to somebody who is really risk adverse?
Yeah, well, consider inflation. You know, look at where
It's the hidden
inflation
tax.
is. Yeah,
Yeah,
people,
we're gonna pay it.
we sit down with people quite often, and they may have a large lump sum in cash. They're like, this is, I have it here because I know this is safe. And we're thinking, but do you know that you're losing every day?
The
that
last
it's
quarter
sitting
over
in
quarter
Just
cash?
the very simple kind. Explain more about that, Brittany. So right now, inflation, we've been anywhere from 6, 8, 9% over the last year or so. Who knows where it's going to end by the end of the year? Could be over double digits. Maybe it'll drift back down. But what does that do to money that's in a savings account earning 0.5%?
Oh man, it's tough. I mean, think about even normal inflation rates, which is around 3%. Even with a normal inflation rate, you would have to double your income in retirement every 24 years just to make up
At
for
3%.
that inflation rate. Yeah, 3%. And that's not what we're experiencing right now. The inflation rates we're experiencing are much higher, and even higher than that 8 and 9% if you're looking at things like travel and vacation and car purchases, right?
Well,
All of these things.
that's a huge one right now. Well, people say, well, I'm in retirement. I've got my Social Security. I can draw out my 3 or 4%. I know what my monthly costs are. I don't have to worry about anything. So wait a minute. Your car eventually,
Have to be
or I don't know,
replaced.
maybe in retirement you start taking more Ubers, which is great. But
They
there's
could.
there's still going to be other costs. You got the roof repairs, and as we get older, will our healthcare costs go down?
Not going down. Will our
Not
taxes
likely.
go down?
Yeah,
I
not
mean,
likely.
there's strategies so that you can pay less taxes. But the writing's on the wall that we're going to have higher taxes as we continue forward. So are you planning well for taxes as well as inflation? Because the purchasing power through inflation is getting diminished.
Right.
So we have to invest.
Jay, Brittany, I'm going to have to take a very, very quick break. Jay, why don't you do this for us? I know that we do a complimentary review.
Yes.
We don't want to just scare people with risk and volatility. We understand that it's on your mind. Jay and Brittany pay attention to it, but they're not just broadcasters. They're financial advisors who do this every single day in their offices, helping folks like you put together a strategy. Jay, why don't you tell me exactly what would you be able to review when folks call the phone number right here?
Sure. Well, first off, there's hope, because you may not understand your risk tolerance and how your investments are set up correctly right now. It's okay. We are here. Let us do that as our job. We want to take a look at the investments that you have, how you're positioned, the inflation rate and what that's doing to your accounts if you're positioned in a way we just spoke of, or maybe you're taking too much risk and we have to position you in a way that helps you reach your goals greater there. So we're going to take a look at your investments. We're going to create an income plan for you, which includes Social Security maximization and also helps you with income planning streams with other assets that you may have. We're also going to look at estate planning. We're going to look at tax planning, and I'm having to brush over this a little bit, but those are all important portions of your plan. So we're going to take a comprehensive approach that doesn't just include risk tolerance in the investments that you're in now. We're going to look at income planning to make sure you have a distribution stream. make sure you're not paying Uncle Sam too much, and make sure that your estate plan is in place and that your funds get to where you want them to go, even if you're not here. So that's a comprehensive review. We would love to share that with you and love to look and review your accounts if you come in.
We're going to take a very short break. Folks, call the phone number you see right here for your own complimentary review, 866-691-7317. More with Jay and Brittany Hagee and the Allon Exchange when we get back right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee, financial planning partners right here, helping you with your retirement planning needs. Folks, if you need any help with a retirement planning strategy, please feel free to call the phone number right here, 866-691-7317. As we continue to talk about risk and market volatility, I got to say one of the biggest risks, in my opinion, at least in the seat I'm at, in the age that I am right now, one of my biggest risks is stopping that paycheck and jumping into retirement.
Yeah.
This is, when you're having that conversation, and you've done it hundreds, maybe even thousands of times in your firm, is that one of the hardest things about helping somebody prepare for retirement, saying, you're ready? It's okay. You've got enough funds. Because I don't know when I'm going to feel comfortable to be ready to hear
I think
that.
having that conversation is easy. I think the mindset shift that has to occur in the mind of the individual who's experiencing it is much harder to make that transition.
Yeah, we find that it's more the folks that we meet with that are closer to retirement and can I shut that income off? It's more of, I've been saving buckets of money for 30 years. I've been pouring into that 401k or IRA 30, 40 years. I've been getting a paycheck to be able to do that. Now I'm not getting that.
I got to draw down these
know
accounts now?
if I'm going to have enough to last me through my lifetime, right? And that's the fear. So it's really the peace of mind that we want to give folks is creating an income stream with those, which you can. That's what we do. Creating an income stream gives you the peace of mind to say, yes, I can turn off this stream of income because I'm going to replace it with this.
Let me ask you a little bit. So again, on the screen here, they can see Allon Planning Partners. So you are retirement planning financial advisors. Can I ask you, what kind of tools do you use to help people know that their money will last? I mean, I can do simple division. Take the amount of money I have, multiply it by 20 years, or 25 or 30 years, divide it by how many months, and hope it lasts. But I don't think that's the proper math. I think there's a lot more calculations. What kind of tools do you use to help people know that answer?
Well, because you have to take a lot more into consideration than simple division. You have to know that market volatility, the way you're positioned in your accounts matter over time, and also the fees that you're paying within there. But we utilize many programs that help folks get to a number that makes their goals possible. So what we typically do is we take a look and say, okay, how are you positioned now? Then what is your goal? What is the income that you need right now? Because most folks, if I'm going to get into the details, most folks don't even understand the need that they have right now. They just know what they make, right? What you make is not really what you need all the time. And so inflation plays a big role into that. So that's another number we have to take into consideration, just like we talked about. So when we're doing income planning, we take a look at how you're positioned, all of the outside influences, like I call them, inflation, taxes, things like this, that is going to weigh on your accounts, how your account should react in every market cycle, right, over time, and then how that is going to affect your income.
And we're not just talking about, we got to remember, one single account. We're talking about
multiple.
Yeah, the goal for retirement is to have multiple income streams so that you're withdrawing from Social Security. That's one leg. Think of it as a 3-leg table almost. You've got one leg of Social Security. You've got one leg that's like your 401k, maybe a pension from your work, and maybe your individual retirement savings is a third leg. And so you have those 3 different income streams that you're pulling from so that you're not fully dependent on one. And there's so many strategies in how to take from those accounts. Taxes is a big thing to consider when you're looking at that. How those distributions will impact your taxes, the strategy and timing of taking all of that. So it's about more than just an account.
Like
it really is. It's about multiple.
It sounds to me like one of the biggest risks of retirement is not taking into account all of the factors that you really need
That's
to
really
determine
true.
beforehand. So is it easy to answer for folks who come to you, say, I've got 1.5 million, or we have $1 million, or I'm 62. Am I ready to retire?
What's your lifestyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the big question.
Married, and
how do you want to live?
spend
Yeah,
the
how
money?
do you want to live? What's your budget look
What's
like? What
your
are your
retirement dream look like?
expenses? Yeah, what do your expenses look like? What are you wanting to do in retirement? I mean, that could or could not be enough. It really depends on the individual and how they live, really their
Sometimes
lifestyle.
accumulating the money, in the bull market that we found ourselves in has become the easier part, right? Now, how do we distribute all of these funds where I'm going to make them last and don't need to go
With
back
proper
to work?
strategy.
Because we want you to
Right.
stay retired. We don't want to just say, you've done great, let's get retired. We want you to stay retired. And so we make sure that we're planning for all the outside influences that we talked about and have a multi-prong approach, whether it's through maximizing Social Security, whether it's your IRAs, your 401ks, how you pull from each of these accounts. How to save on taxes is a huge deal in that, to make sure that folks are secure when they go to retire, to say, I can retire with this income level and I will stay retired.
And what's the core behind that? The core behind that is fear. There's so much fear surrounding, will I have enough? Is it going to last? Is what I've worked my whole life to accumulate going to be enough? Am I going to be able to make it? And not even considering risk and the market volatility that we're currently experiencing with inflation and all of the current economic conditions we're in. I mean, that's why we chose the Allon Exchange, because we want to offer some solutions. We want to offer peace.
right.
We want to take the problems and the scenarios and the struggles that you find yourself in the nitty-gritty of today and exchange those for some creative solutions. Exchange your questions for some answers and some hope to know, hey, I don't have to live in fear. I don't have to wake up at night and not be able to sleep because I'm thinking about, am I going to have enough? Can I pay my bills? You don't have to stay there. It's okay if you are there right now, but you don't have to stay
That's right.
there.
We can
Let's
address
have
it.
some conversations around that and put a plan in place to ensure that you have in place what you need through retirement.
I'm going to have to take a very short break, Jay and Brittany. Folks, please call right now and ask for your own complimentary retirement plan review. Jay and Brittany are going to sit down and go through all of the steps and the paces, taking a look at your risk, your taxes, your estate planning, and health care. But you need to reach out to us here. Jay and Brittany don't know if you need help if you don't call us right now. 866-691-7317. We're going to continue to talk about risks and market volatility in retirement when we get back right after this break.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go? And who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee. I am your host, Spike Spangle. We're talking about your retirement planning needs, Tennessee. More specifically today, risk and volatility in the markets. I got to tell you, it's a very emotional time.
It is.
Literally across our country. I mean, I don't think there's anything. You guys want to talk politics today? Let's have some
we'll
fun.
leave that on the
Let's
table.
lighten the mood and talk
we'll
about
leave that on the
politics.
table.
No. When it comes to market volatility, there's a lot of emotion, and I think because we've been lulled to sleep the last at least decade or so, maybe even longer. What are you seeing emotionally with the market volatility? Are people worried out there?
So you're 100% correct. There has been underreaction for the last 14 years of this bull market. We've seen people, mostly the strategy would have been buy an S&P 500 and go to sleep. Buy an ETF and go to sleep for the last 14 years. Well, we've been lulled to sleep by that predictability that the market's always going to go up and to the right. Now we're seeing this roller coaster of volatility, and people are overreacting. It's become okay, pull everything to cash, I'm all out. And so those are mistakes that we're seeing right now. The overreaction that I'm seeing, especially from folks that are coming in as prospects for the first time, they're checking us out, seeing how we do financial planning. I want to ask them, well, have you really had a plan in place to begin with this kind of overreaction? Because most of our clients that we meet with aren't overreacting. They're not
We're not
freaking
getting
out.
those
We're
calls
not getting those phone calls
from current
because we
With
put
the
a plan in
clients you
place.
work with, because you
current clients
have
we
a
work
plan
with.
in place, right?
Yeah, so the current clients we work with, we aren't seeing that, but a lot of folks that we're seeing call in and come in from these shows and whatnot are in an overreaction zone. And I'm first having to say, okay, let's not overreact. Let's breathe deep and take peace and calm. The market's not going to go to zero tomorrow. We're going to see how you're positioned, and we're going to see if we can put a plan in place to help you from overreacting and just pulling everything out of everywhere.
Well, let me ask you this right now then. Yes, the markets are down anywhere from 10 to 20% depending on when this airs. Do you also see an opportunity here right now? Even if you're in retirement, is there an opportunity?
The opportunity to me is the age-old, it's the time in the market, not timing the market. And so a lot of folks are trying to time the market, and they see that's where the overreaction comes in. But there's an opportunity right now when we have such a heavy pullback that we've not seen in a decade plus, that there's an opportunity to utilize some of the cash maybe we've had on the sideline for too long, or reposition some of the positions that you may be in. Maybe you're too heavy in fixed income. Maybe you're too heavy in the equities market, and that's why you're overreacting, right? But we can take this to have an advantage to get into a lower position so that they can grow more over time, and time in the market matters.
How do you help folks, though, whether they're a current, if we want to call them a client, or somebody who's just watching our program right now, they're scared about what's going on? You're welcome to call the phone number you see right there, ask some advice about what's going on in your portfolio. How do you help people have emotional reactions to the market? You kind of hold their hand a little bit and help them through these times. That's what you're there for.
That's
right.
But how do you help them keep from making emotional decisions?
You know what keeps them anchored is the plan. When we have a plan in place that covers all of these components that we've spent time talking about today, when a plan is in place to cover all of these different things, it brings stability, it brings some security, because you think of it as an anchor, like a boat. A boat has an anchor. You throw your anchor out and the boat stays stable. That's the same thing a plan can do. When you have a proper plan in place, it can bring some stability, because we know market cycles, it's going to come, it's going to go up and down, it's cyclical. Well, it's going to continue we're going to see that volatility. That's going to happen.
And it's not just about education, because knowledge is power, is what people say, but it's really knowledge plus action is power. And so it's us educating folks with where they're positioned and what investments they have and the income plan they have or don't know about they have, the tax planning and making sure that we're doing that correctly. All these components that we hit in a comprehensive plan, it's about putting action behind those and saying, okay, we're going to educate you on what these components are, but we're going to actually piece and position your funds in different buckets that put you in a place to where you can succeed in all market climates.
I was going to ask, would you say then putting together the financial plan is is interactive, or is it directive from you saying, this is how we do things, this is what we think is best for you?
Well,
How much involvement?
Yeah, it's very interactive because our planning is goal-based. And we can't put a plan together around goals unless we know your goals, right? That's why one of the first things we do when we sit down with someone is share with us where you are. Share with us about your situation. Share with us what you enjoy. Share with us, kind of what your goals are. What are you working towards? Maybe it's purchasing a new car. Maybe it's retirement. Maybe it's college savings for your kids or grandkids. We need to know those goals so that we can help put a plan in place and implement the proper tools to help you get there.
One last thing about this, though. Once you have put together the plan, is it a set recipe, or do we make adjustments along the way? Is this something you purchase? It's like, oh, here's your financial plan, and it's all done?
Yeah, a financial plan should be very fluid. It should be very, you don't want a rigid plan. You want a plan that is able to adjust based on your life circumstances, based on maybe a job change or a marriage or a death or anything like that. Even, moving from one state to another. All these different things really can impact your financial picture. And so you've got to take a look at your plan overall every so often. I mean, because even your goals could change. Maybe you reach and you get that car. Maybe you send that kid off to college, your grandchild off to college, and your goals have to be adjusted and shifted. And the way you invest based on your goals is going to look different. The way you invest based on your age is going to look different.
That's correct.
So it's very important to reassess every so often to ensure that, okay, here's how my assets are positioned, here's the plan that I have in place. Is it currently still helping me reach these goals that I have set in place?
And I would say a good plan, real quick, is an adaptive plan that continues to change.
Well, Jay, we're going to have to wrap up today's program. You got about 30 seconds. Tell me what's in that plan if folks call the phone number that they see right here on the screen.
We would love to meet with you and your family one-on-one in our offices to go over your plan. And that would include us looking at your investments and how you're positioned in the market, creating an income plan for you, creating a plan that makes sure that you're going to have the funds to retire and stay retired, a tax plan that looks to make sure you're not paying too much in taxes. We're going to look at an estate plan to make sure that your assets, once you're no longer able to direct them, goes to the places that you wish them to go to. And those are some of the areas we're going to look at in a comprehensive plan to give you the peace of mind that you need through this market volatility.
Jay and Brittany, thank you so much for talking about market volatility and risk in retirement. And thank you so much for the offer here. For all of you out there in the viewing audience, give us a call right here so you can get your own retirement plan review. 866-691-7317. Thank you for watching the Allon Exchange with Jay and Brittany Hagee. We're going to be back again next week.